Hi, everybody. Good morning. I'm Bernardo. I'm a psychiatrist, and I'm the president of for the American Study of Hispanic Psychiatry. And here we are with a very interesting event in the celebration of Mental Health Day. We have a great guest that I'm about to introduce. But first, I want to thank everybody for joining and making this happen. I have Dr. Ruby Castilla, who is the secretary for our society and has been very active on making sure that we copy the mission and our mission. So thank you, Ruby. Thank you, Eva, for joining and taking the time to tell us a little bit about your story. I have to say that Eva Pierre, who is our speaker today, is the author of a book called After the Storm. Eva has co-authored this book with her daughter, Julie Cutler, and we really enjoy having her because this is not a book about the scientific part of mental illness. Like in our society, we're more used to approaching the issues that affect or impact patients and their families. But this is actually a family member telling her story and a surprising revelation about how love, hope, and faith brought a family together and mended the wounds that shatter many families out there in our country and other countries. And not only Hispanic families and families, but all kinds of families. So I'm sure you're all going to enjoy and learn a lot from Eva's presentations today, who has been kind enough to devote part of her day to celebrate with us Mental Health Day today. So with no further ado, I pass the microphone to Eva. Ms. Saint-Pierre, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to World Mental Health Day. I'm honored and grateful to be your guest speaker today. Every day needs to be World Mental Health Day. Thank you to the American Society of Hispanic Psychiatry, ASHP, Johnson & Johnson, Ruby, Bernardo, Colleen, and the rest of the team for your diligence in advancing better mental health care and awareness. Also for allowing me this opportunity to share my personal story at After the Storm with AvaSt.Pierre.com. When I was a child, my family was what most would consider the all-American family until my mother was diagnosed with debilitating mental illness brought on by schizophrenia. What began as a blissful family life in South Central Los Angeles with my loving parents sharing a whirlwind love affair, having 7 children, each of us a little over a year apart from the last, suddenly took a wild turn into darkness for our family. Physical and mental child abuse was what went on behind closed doors due to my mother's illness. As a young girl, I used to hide behind the couch, writing for comfort during my mom's fits of rage. My mom's verbal and physical altercations would eventually take a turn for the worse. She would have to be restrained and taken away. I would watch as I cried, my mom being put in a straitjacket and tied down to a stretcher. Oftentimes, it took more than a few police officers to get her controlled and taken to the mental hospital. Sadly, I lost a baby brother to the severity of the abuse. May innocent children worldwide be spared from such tragedies for mental illness. It's important that the stigma of embarrassment due to mental illness be removed for those affected as well as their families. 1 in 5 people are affected by mental illness, and that's too many. By speaking out for those who can't or aren't willing to, we can help the ones we know and love get the mental health care they deserve. I wish my mother could have had the help she deserved, and that's why it's my mission to help others and bring awareness to mental health. As a nation, we need to change how people perceive mental illness. Most see it as those who are affected by a form of mental illness as being villains or monsters. But the reality is they are oftentimes victims who haven't received the right medical attention or help they so desperately deserve. Families of those affected by this debilitating disease may be afraid of their actions, of their compulsive, violent, fragile, or emotional behavior. The individual, as my mom did, may refuse help or may not realize they need help in the first place. If you know someone who needs help, give them the professional help they deserve and don't allow the individual and the ones around them to suffer any longer. You can find out more about mental illness by visiting the National Institute of Mental Health. My autobiography was written with the goal to help people worldwide realize they are not alone in their struggles with mental health, child abuse, or whatever hardship they may be going through. My purpose and mission is to help encourage others to never give up hope and continue in strength to stand and start a conversation for a better solution in mental health awareness. It's an expedition into forgiveness and understanding of a misunderstood disease that needs to be talked about. I have been sharing my story as a platform since 1989, a year I entered and won Mrs. Texas America. In that year, I did over 350 appearances, most on mental health awareness and prevent child abuse. 28 years later, I'm still sharing my personal story. Our platform has grown by leaps and bounds. The reward is in making a difference, a dream that has become a reality. It was a difficult decision to write my autobiography. At the time, mental illness wasn't being talked about, at least not out loud. The stigma of being belittled or shamed was of great fear. I know firsthand. I had still had a few who were close to me trying to tell me to please keep quiet. I was told what you are sharing is personal and it embarrasses some of us. The few don't outweigh the millions. My journey for better mental health care awareness is one I will continue. I want to challenge companies like Johnson & Johnson to collaborate with me in creating programs of mental health awareness for young children globally in schools. If innocent children are educated on better mental health and what signs to look for, the opportunity of removing the stigma of embarrassment decreases, and I believe children will help champion strong voices for themselves, family, and friends in seeking professional help. If there is one message I want to relay to people, it is to try to share love, compassion, and kindness instead of evil or hate. It's so easy to put negative energy out into the world, but the better way is always love. I want people to know that although my life as a child was tough, I never gave up knowing there was a rainbow after the storm. I always knew I would share my life to heal and give meaningful purpose to not only myself, but to as many people as I could reach out to. I never imagined one little book would touch so many in sharing similar stories. I made the decision long ago to make the choice to turn the page in my life from adversities into triumphs of celebrations. As a teenage mother, I wanted better for my children. I knew one day I would show and share with my children and grandchildren how I was turning a horrific negative into a positive. I had faith they could look back on my life and realize they could overcome anything challenging in theirs. I wanted them to know they could dream big and become anything they were willing to work hard for because I never played the victim. Instead, I'm a survivor. I have made the choice of breaking the cycle of abuse in my family through faith, God, talking about better mental health care, taking action through checkups, greater awareness, and spreading the word. The truth is, everyone encounters good and bad times in life. It's how you deal with the hard moments and overcome them to find meaning and a silver lining behind it all. Thank you again for allowing me to share my personal testimony of turning a heartbreaking storm into a vibrant double rainbow with the hope I have helped at least one person seeking a brighter tomorrow today. You can visit me or email me at avastpierre.com. I would love to hear from you. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you, Ava. And if I may, this is Colleen Collins, and I have the honor of stepping in for Ruby and moderating the call. If I may ask, if you're not currently speaking, can you please put your phone on mute so that we can hear the entire context of the discussion that's ongoing. So again, thank you, Ava, for taking the time to share your story. I'd like to pause now and offer the opportunity to others to maybe ask questions of Ava if they have any. Okay, so I will begin with a question to you, Ava. How thank you for sharing your story. I know that it must have been difficult to document your experiences in a book. And I ask, how have your past experiences with abuse changed you and your perspective?
In my case, although I shall never forget the hardships of my past, I know that God guided me on not being bitter or living in the past. Moving forward from difficult times and finding happiness and forgiveness was essential for me. I rose above the trauma, and I realized my rewards were in advocating and championing a strong voice for others. I believe in turning a negative into a positive and spreading light and goodness out into the world. There can be happiness after your darkest hours. You just have to try again. Never, ever give up and always have hope for what lies ahead.
Very encouraging words. Thank you.
Welcome.
Would you say that there have been moments in your life where you struggled? And can you recount any instances where you may have been bullied?
Absolutely yes on both questions. We've all had bumps, curves, and twists to overcome in life. That's the one thing I know all of us share in together, the good, the bad, and of course the ugly twists too. Let's face it, the good moments in life are absolutely wonderful to experience. We never want them to end, and we hope for all the good without any of the bad. It's the trying, depressing, and downright horrible times that are hard to overcome, and the moments you want to hide from the world and not talk about it ever again. These are the times that build each and every one of our characters. They make us stronger, they build our faith, and they encourage us to try harder and get back up again. For without the bad, we never would build any character or learn from our mistakes. We're all imperfect beings. We all know that. In order to grow, learn, and become better, we must face trying and challenging times as well. So hopefully we don't face those alone. We always have a friend or a family member that shares in them with us.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the audience, please? Okay, so I'll move on to an additional question that I have. Have you experienced loss, failure, or rejection? Can you describe what those moments were for you?
Yes, I was a shy, skinny child, one that was picked on in school in my earlier years. Back then it was a different time and belief that kids will be kids. Now we know more. Children are committing suicide, have eating disorders, and like I once was, my mental health was at an all-time low. Like most bullying made me feel socially isolated. My low self-esteem and lack of confidence made me feel worthless. This is why I'm advocating for school programs at every level of schools worldwide.
That's a great mission. Thank you for sharing that as well. And I know you've talked about your past experiences, and you've described certain instances of resilience. And can you help us understand whether or not there have been instances where you've really it was difficult for you to go experience a challenge of trying again. So you were perhaps pushed, and then you tried to restart, but then that was probably difficult. So can you tell me about maybe a time when you were pushed back down, but you found the resolve to get back up again?
Well, I think we all have, I know we all have lost loved ones. A few of mine are my hero, my dad in 2006, which is still raw and tough at times. I also lost my beautiful mom, Kathleen. She was in